All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Wes here. Today we're going to be talking about God of War Ragnarok. We are just about a month ago until the game releases on November 9th, and with that we got some new details as well as news and leaks to cover before the game drops next month. So in this video we're going to discuss gameplay features, some details regarding the story that you guys are going to want to know before the game releases, as well as how long God of War Ragnarok is going to take to complete. Along with that, we have new details regarding the preload date and just generally everything that you need to know about God of War Ragnarok before it finally drops next month. So definitely stick around until the end of the video because you guys do not want to miss out on everything. Real quick, guys, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 console and a game of your choice. So this is a perfect chance to win a copy of Hogwarts Legacy, Spider-Man 2, or even God of War Ragnarok. To enter, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel, comment your Twitter handle, follow me on Twitter, and tweet me proof that you are subscribed. The winner will be announced at 65k subs. Also, a quick note, I will not be reaching out to you guys via the comment section, so please be on the lookout for bots as well as impersonators. The next adventure for Kratos and Atreus has been decided and has been given an official release date. As we said before, it's releasing next month on November 9th. God of War Ragnarok is going to be the continuation of the father-son adventure that we have come to love from the first game released in 2018. The sequel to one of the best PlayStation 4 games ever is set to absolutely blow away our expectations, with some already calling God of War Ragnarok Game of the Year, despite the game not even being released yet. This game will have new realms to travel to as well as questions that have been left unanswered. The only question is, are you prepared for Ragnarok? That is the question that I will answer in this video. Starting things off, let's talk about when and where you'll be able to play this game. For starters, it was confirmed that God of War Ragnarok will not be a PlayStation 5 exclusive game. However, it will be exclusive to PlayStation consoles until it inevitably releases on PC after about a year or two, but that's for another topic. Now, this is great news if you have not been able to upgrade to the PS5 yet, because you will indeed be able to play God of War Ragnarok on your PlayStation 4. Now, while confirmation that this is indeed a cross-gen release is good news for PS4 owners, but it does have some PlayStation 5 owners concerned that the overall experience of the game could be downgraded to support the old generation consoles, which I completely understand. It is a valid concern. We obviously want Sony Santa Monica focused on making the best sequel they possibly can make, which I believe they've been able to accomplish that, but I also understand that some folks would prefer that the development time not be focused on supporting older machines, to which I just say that I doubt that that was much of a problem, so I wouldn't really worry about it. Continuing on, it was confirmed that God of War Ragnarok will be available to preload on November 2nd, 2022, which is about a week away from the global launch of the game. On top of that, according to datamine information, the game will be roughly 90 gigabytes in size, which at first glance could be perceived as a red flag due to its predecessor being half the size. But that could also mean that they aren't compressing the game files to preserve the quality of the game, as well as the possibility of future-proofing this title. It's also worth mentioning that the game's file size will be changed depending on the different regions. This is of course due to the language packs. So the EU version of the game will likely be loaded with different languages compared to the North American release. Now, before we jump into some details about the story, we do have some news to discuss regarding how long it will take to beat God of War Ragnarok. Now, with a game that is doubling in file size, it would make sense to assume that the sequel will be 2 times the length. Well, unfortunately, things just don't work like that. According to Insider Gaming, we might have gotten the length of God of War Ragnarok. They said, and I quote, "God of War Ragnarok is around 40 hours in length. It's understood that the entire experience is around 40 hours, with 20 hours needed to complete the game's main story." This number of 40 hours has also been discussed by David Gaff, who is a previous PlayStation game director on the Twisted Metal series. Stated on a recent video, "I'm hearing from people in the know that the game is 40 hours. They're aiming for 40 hours of gameplay. I don't know if that's 100% platinum trophy completion or if that's average playtime. Is it guaranteed? No. Things get cut, things get added, but what I can tell you is 40 hours of gameplay is what they're shooting for with the new God of War Ragnarok." Overall, 40 hours of gameplay is actually pretty solid considering how incredible the previous game was. As much as I would have loved to see the main story be 40 hours long, I'm personally fine with it being the same as 2018, as long as they keep the same level of intensity and cinematic masterpiece that we have come to expect from this sequel. Now let's go over some new details that you should be expecting in the upcoming game. First and foremost, the story of God of War Ragnarok will be set years after the end of God of War 2018. This is obvious due to seeing the older Atreus whose giant genes are starting to come to life. Together, Kratos and Atreus must face Ragnarok, which, if you don't know, is essentially the apocalypse in Norse mythology. Facing all of the enemies they made in the prior game, like, spoiler alert, Freya, and new ones like Thor and friggin' Odin himself. Sidebar, West Wing fans are up cataclysmically. Who would have thought that Toby Ziegler or actor Richard Schiff would become Odin, but more on that later. Basically, we made a lot of enemies in the prior game because, well, we went for the head and asked questions later. But by far one of the biggest challenges as Papa Kratos is the reality of who Atreus is, and of course trying to control a teenager, which is the worst. Basically, teenagers kind of suck. Sorry, mom and dad. Now, for those of you that are watching this video that are going in blind, first off, what are you doing? Go play God of War right now. Anywho, the story takes place across the 9 realms, compared to the 6 that we saw in God of War 2018, adding in Vanaheim, Svartalfheim, and Asgard to the mix. The new trailer also features Angrboda the Giantess and one of the last remaining giants as confirmed by Sony Santa Monica. She'll be a key piece to the story of Ragnarok, so get ready for that. Next up in the PlayStation showcase, we also got to see Tyr, who is the son of Odin and brother of Thor and half-brother of Baldur, and is currently being imprisoned by Odin. For those of you who know the events of the last game, then you know that this should be an interesting meet and greet to say the least. Now let's talk a little bit more about what we were shown in the latest story trailer, which we got revealed during September 2022's State of Play, which was kind of unexpected but hyped nonetheless. The trailer showed us a better look at what the story's focus will likely be, showing us that the relationship between Kratos and Atreus is the heart of the game, and you get the sense that there is a growing tension between the two of them as things develop. It's bittersweet to see how Atreus is growing up from how we saw him in the first game, going from a small boy who is afraid of killing an animal to a quickly growing god giant. Instead of looking to Kratos for answers, he's continuing to rebel and lead the pair in his own way. Continuing on with the story, we also have information about the cast of this game. First off, we have Christopher Judge returning as Kratos, Sonny Soljic as Atreus, and the rest of the cast members are as followed: Ryan Hurst as Thor, Richard Schiff as Odin, Danielle Basutti as Freya, Leia Hayes as Angrboda, Ben Prendergast as Tyr, Alistar Duncan as Mimir, Adam Harrington as Sindri, Robert Craighead as Brock, and Usman Ali as Durlin. Next up in the trailer, we also see that Atreus has made some pretty big friends as he is accompanied by some very large wolves. Speaking of wolves, if you remember from the release date reveal trailer, we see a giant wolf, which is likely Fenrir. Another quick spoiler alert again, but Fenrir, together with Hel and the World Serpent, is child of Loki and giantess Angrboda. So just from that trailer, the story implications are wild. Moving on to the combat of the game, along with epic new takedown animations, we also have a brand new movement mechanic, but more on that in a sec. In the trailer, we see Kratos wielding his Blades of Chaos, his Leviathan axe from the first game. On top of the previous game's combat, we also see new and improved combat takedowns and real-time action sequences. On top of that, we also got to see a new way of mobility in God of War Ragnarok in the form of a freaking grappling hook, which is pretty self-explanatory. And I'll just note that any game that features grappling hooks is like automatically 10 times better. So that's why I am super hyped for the movement in this game. I feel like things are going to be a lot more fluid and maybe even more fast-paced than the previous game. Moving right along, I'd like to talk more about the graphics and performance of God of War Ragnarok. Along with this game releasing for the previous generation of consoles or the PlayStation 4, we also have confirmation on what graphic options will be available. God of War Ragnarok will feature graphics fidelity option and of course a performance mode. The fidelity mode will be native 4K at 30 FPS and the performance mode will be 4K upscaled at 60 FPS. They also redesigned the game's UI to allow more flexibility and readability. On top of that, they rebuilt the controller remapping for more customizations to combat and interaction systems, as well as even more accessibility features than ever, which is always a good thing. God of War Ragnarok is looking to be a very successful game, with all of the anticipation and support of the community and the dev team talking and updating as much as possible, and even answering as many questions that they can without spoiling things. It's always really great to see, and I really appreciate Sony Santa Monica for going above and beyond. With how successful the last game was, the continuation of this story is sure to do amazingly well and be yet another top-tier game for the PlayStation portfolio, and could potentially even take home another game of the year like the last one. Are you excited to play God of War Ragnarok? What are you most excited for? For me personally, I cannot wait to see Richard Schiff's Odin, but that's just me. I love West Wing, so anything with Toby Ziegler, I am totally down. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel with your notifications on. Definitely take advantage of the PlayStation 5 giveaway at 65k subs. This is your opportunity to get yourself a PlayStation 5 console and a game of your choice. Thanks for watching this video, guys. This has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys on the next video.